The button has been pushed. Hello and welcome. You guys, we have another special one for you today. If you paid attention, last week we had an amazing Utah band come in to the dungeon. They played a few songs for us. Thank you, Pickpockets. This year we're going to go on a whole different spectrum, right? And we're going to the other side of the country in a whole different genre. And I cannot tell you. Well, I can tell you actually, this is the third time, and the third time's a charm, that we finally got to get this interview done. The first time we had some technical difficulties. The second time, my laptop fried at our Magoo show. And we'll talk about how this one almost didn't happen, but Spencer Hatcher, thank you so much for joining us today.
Welcome, buddy.
Cody and Shay, thank you guys so much for having me. This is an honor. And like you said, I'm so glad we could finally make this work. Third time's a charm.
Shay, I know that you know, but the rest of them don't know, is he was actually battling laryngitis 2 days ago, right?
Yeah. I've had laryngitis before, and you were talking a little bit before we started recording about, usually takes a week to recover. So our boy here seems to be unstoppable if he sounds as good after just 2 days.
He sounds as pretty as he looks. So we
Yes.
are good to go. But so what's awesome is, Spencer, we're having you on actually you're releasing a new song.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we wanted to give people a little bit of background. We'll get to that new music, but I really wanted people to learn who you are and some more. If you're deep in the social media game, you already know who Spencer is, right? He, like ourselves, have had some viral moments, right? Now, his includes washboard abs and incredible music, and mine's me being an idiot. So there's a slight difference there, right? But what's really cool is, as you guys know, we were born from the bluegrass community. Spencer's roots are deep into bluegrass, and then he transcended into country music. And so I really wanted to start with chatting about that, because for us, we always dive into like the influences of our attendees, like, hey, where was that musical foundation, right? And for you guys had a family bluegrass band. Your mother and father were both musicians, right, Spencer?
Yes, sir. But I mean, it even goes further back than just the family band. Of course, my grandparents and their parents. I think music was, when you look back in the history, music was a big thing. Most people sang. A lot of people in churches. I mean, it's amazing sometimes when you get into those congregations, it's like everybody's a singer in the churches, in the pews. It's just amazing. It's like you don't hear the flat notes, you don't hear the sharp notes. Everybody's got this amazing voice. And that was kind of that's where I came from. I grew up in church singing. My grandparents taught me to sing. My parents all sung. My mom's a pianist. My dad played the guitar and the banjo. He was in choirs. My grandparents were in choirs. My grandmother is a pianist. And so it was just so much music growing up, years and years before we ever started the family band in bluegrass. But also growing up out in the country, raised on a farm in the Shenandoah Valley, you just got music. You've got a lot of bluegrass music, and you've got a lot of what I call real country music. And that's what I grew up on, and I'm very thankful for it.
Well, yeah, and that's what's so cool is, like, now with like the marketing of music, right? And I'll say it, the exploitation of music, right? Like, it came from the base of being community, right? Being around each other, getting through, telling stories, getting through hard times, celebrating good times, right? Like, music is always there, and it's been there for thousands of years, right? And
Yes, sir.
and it's so cool because it's like the roots are so important, right? But then what happens is we start to interpret it just like you do with a book, right? You start reading things and you start giving it meaning that may be different than what was original, right? And so for you guys to have that foundational support of like, because like bluegrass is traditional, it is religious, right? Like people want to say, oh, I hate these gospel tunes, and it's like, no, hit me with these gospel tunes, right? Because
Yeah.
that was the foundation, and that was what this genre was built on, but it's also what started building the community. So how did that help you in starting to like build your foundation of your music career? Because you started real young.
I did. And, I think that there's some correlation between just the natural progression of music as a whole. When you look at what roots music was, America too is founded on religious freedom. And so those songs came over too. People were singing about religion. Then you start to see in the 1800s and early turn of the century 1900s how some of the mountain music started coming about, and you start hearing some different kinds of songs with different messages. And then a lot of the bluegrass standards that you hear today are like 150 years old. People don't realize it, you
Yeah.
know. And then I think that, I don't know if you all saw the Elvis movie like 2 years ago, the really big one with Austin Butler.
I really wanted to. I
So
didn't get around
good.
to it, but I heard it was pretty solid.
Oh
I did.
gosh,
It was it was amazing. They gave a lot of hard stuff because of like the makeup that was used on him and things like that.
yeah,
But the story itself and the portrayal of how he came up, it was amazing, right?
it
So
was.
what were you going to say about it, Spencer?
Well, I mean, I think that they did a pretty good job of showing how Elvis wound up running into some of his songs, and most of them were not his songs. It was from the 1930s, blues and jazz artists singing soulful music that they could relate to, and then someone like Elvis that grew up in that area takes it and makes it mainstream. I think same thing kind of for me. And like I was saying, the natural progression of the genre and how country music came out of bluegrass music and folk music. For me, I grew up on the same stuff. And I think it was just more of a natural progression because you start to get exposed to more music and to more artists. Like, I remember hearing Hank Jr. pretty early on, and George Jones, and those guys, of course, were already singing some real country music, stuff that I could relate to as far as growing up in the country. I was like, well, I know what this is about. I know about tractors and cows and four wheelers and just riding and just living the country style life. Um, to where I guess my influence goes from just bluegrass, country, and gospel into a more country scene, I guess, almost.
Well, and
I
that's what's
think
cool is
about
like that
exposure.
it's cool that evolution, right? And like it comes with age as well, right? Like as you start getting older, and then even listening to like when you first started breaking into country music and what you were singing about to like now some of the evolution of your songwriting and your lyrics or even your overall feel and then playing with some of those things, right? Because like you blew up. It happened from this moment. We were talking about it was Folsom Prison Blues, right? That was your first viral video that kind of that like oh snap, like this happened. And like you had been playing music for a long time before that, but with the power of the internet, the double-edged sword that is social media, can you talk a little bit about that story for those folks that don't know? And you should go check it out. We'll tag all of it. But how did all this come about, bud?
Well, it really was a wild thing. Like you said, I'd already been playing music for 15 years, an instrument. I started playing the mandolin when I was 8 years old. And I really didn't even want to play the mandolin. I just wanted to play something. And my parents kind of told me too, they never really made me do anything. That they would always say, just try it out. Sports, we had to try sports. I love sports. I played baseball and basketball, football. And then they said, we want you to try an instrument. If you don't like it, that's fine. But you should try it to get that exposure. And so I started playing the mandolin at 8 years old. I'd already been singing for like 4 years at that point. But then by the age of 12, that was when I always wanted to play the banjo. My dad played the banjo. I looked up to him. I just wanted to play it so bad, but you got to have some pretty big hands to play the banjo, really. And when you're only 8 years old, you can't really shape an F chord on the banjo. It's quite the stretch. So by the time I
Please
was
tell me there's
12,
a video of 8-year-old you trying to play banjo somewhere.
I wish there was. There is with 12-year-old me. Um,
Okay.
there's some really early on videos on YouTube and um, probably Facebook pictures of me when I was like 12, 13 years old playing the banjo. But um, yeah, and so that was my kind of my introduction to bluegrass, and I just loved it. I played bluegrass for it was about 3 years, just me and my dad. Every single evening we go down in the basement and we just jam. And it was just the greatest thing. And that was where I could learn to play the banjo and to play these instrumental songs. And as far as like harmony singing goes, I still didn't even have that. That was when I started getting introduced to harmony. And I was like, I remember the first time that I heard a guy, we would go to these jam sessions too. and he would sing harmony. And I was like, how are you doing that? How can you hear harmony? Because like I can hear the melody, everybody can sing along to the tune, but then this guy was doing harmony, and he's just like, man, you just got to keep on singing. You'll learn it and you'll get to it. And so I was becoming enamored with everything bluegrass, everything music. I just loved it. And it was about when I was 15 years old. I've been playing the banjo for about 3 years. My younger brother Connor decided to pick up the bass fiddle, and suddenly we had enough for a band right there. And that was when the family band started, the Hatcher Boys. My dad on guitar, me on banjo, and then Connor on the bass. And then we started playing shows, and that was where the shows all started. And that was an amazing time. I have so many amazing stories and memories from just the family band. So I was 15 years old. Connor was 12. And we would go to every church we could on Sundays. We played fairs, lawn parties, festivals, and country stores, just anything we could do. And it surely wasn't about money. The one thing they say about bluegrass is you can make tens of dollars in bluegrass. And I'd say that's pretty true.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can cover your
Yeah, but
gas,
it's also
you're doing pretty good.
but it's also
so-
like what you're building within your community, right? So sitting down there with your dad, like, and then learning this, that bond in the relationship as a father to two girls myself, right? Like, I'm not a musician, but to have something to literally do day after day and build that relationship and that bond, that had to be pretty special.
It was wildly special. I wouldn't trade a single thing in the world for those memories and for doing that for so many years. I was doing that before I ever had the courage to even go out to a jam session. Playing in public was just a mortifying thought for me, of course, just like it is most people.
Yeah. I don't know how you guys do it. And it's funny because, we've got friends in bands, and you'll find this out the more musicians you talk to. A lot of musicians are not extroverts; they're introverts. And being on stage and putting yourself out there is a place of intense discomfort. I'm also curious. You said that your parents had suggested you pick up an instrument. Would you have gone into music anyway if that hadn't happened? Because a lot of times when we talk to people with stories like yours, we'll hear, oh, I just saw my dad play the banjo and I wanted to do that, so I grabbed a banjo and started playing. It's not usually that other way around where the parent is like, no, I'm into music, you should try this too, and if you don't like it.
They also didn't give him time. He was 6 years old, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. they made the decision for you, but I mean, do you think if your parents hadn't specifically said, like, we think you should try this, would you have gone in that direction anyway, do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I grew up with way too much music around me to not have that interest.
I was going to say, it's obviously in your blood, so.
Yeah, I had a huge interest in music. I remember sitting with my grandmother on her piano stool, and I would just watch her play. And I was like 5, 6 years old at this point. And I would tell her, I'd hum a song. I'd say, will you play this one again? And this was before I even knew titles to songs, but I just knew I loved music. And I was always very interested in her playing the piano. One thing I wish I could do was fluently play the piano. I wish that I could read sheet music and just play it, but I do everything by ear. I don't really read music now. In college, I started studying tablature, and I can read tab, but as far as like sheet music, not really.
It's so wild how many musicians do that, and they're like, oh, I just do it by ear, and it's like, wait, what? So you literally hear it, and then you're like, oh, that's a blah chord, and like, us who are here in the crowd, like, don't even hear the difference when you mess up, right? And you're like, oh my God, that was terrible. But then to just do it by ear, that's wild. But I want to go back to your grandma, okay? Because you said that she was going, where was grandma from the South? Where, because you're in Virginia, you said the Shenandoah, right? So has your family always been there? What was her role? How did they get there? Did they start the farm?
No, my grandmother, she was born in 1936, so we are already from a small town. In 1936, I don't even know if you call it a town. It was just early on in the valley. But she was still from Broadway. Broadway, Virginia is the small town that I'm from. And I don't know that she grew up on a farm. I want to say that just kind of like most people, you had chickens to attend to. If you wanted eggs, you had chickens. You probably had a cow if you wanted milk. That was just life, man. It didn't matter where you were from. You probably had those two things. So I think that she grew up more in.
So it was just in her blood from being in the community, right? So then, and that's what's cool is because it's like this moral compass starts, right? And it starts growing. How early on did she start bringing you out to sing like Christmas carols with?
That's honestly one of my favorite memories. Um, every year around Christmas, as I start thinking back to when we would go Christmas caroling, that was young. As young as we could pay attention, we started Christmas caroling basically.
A
Like
good smack in the head can keep you paying attention a lot longer
that's right.
too. I don't know. I don't,
Yeah,
I don't know about y'all, but
That sounds like my
yeah,
grandmother for
yeah,
sure.
1000% wooden spoon.
Shut up, Shay.
yeah,
Smack.
yeah.
Okay.
Really, I mean, I remember her getting after us all the time because I have two other brothers, so three boys dragging them through a retirement community where we're wanting to play. We're not really wanting to sing too much, but we did. And she would make us, and we would bake cookies the day before and prep these plates, and we would go around to the retirement community and hand them out to all of the old people that were in the homes, and then we would sing 4 or 5 songs and move on to the next. I just loved it. I lived for Christmas caroling with my grandmother. All of us loved it. It was me, my brothers, and my two cousins. We would go with my grandparents, and I just loved it. And my granddad too. He was not too musical, but he did sing just like most people. Um, and he was a bass singer. And so, as a
Oh
young
wow.
kid, when you hear your granddad singing bass, you're like, grow up and be like him, because that's awesome. And
Yeah.
that was super cool. And to kind of relate back to where my grandmother came from, being the Shenandoah Valley and Broadway, which is my home. My granddad grew up in Bassett, Virginia, which is just east of Roanoke area. And um, Bassett, Virginia is like or was the moonshine capital of the world. It was
Oh wow.
insane what was going on
Little
back
white
then.
lightning.
Oh
I can
yeah.
confirm that. Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of the movies that are made about the really big moonshiners during that time, it was like my great great uncle or something like that. It was that guy, Peg Hatcher. If you all ever read into it, he was one of the most. I don't know if it was notorious, but he was just one of the biggest moonshiners
He
in
is
the
a
world, and
prolific
it was.
moonshiner in Virginia.
Absolutely. He was very, very famous. There's been documentaries done about it. And I'm like, hey, that's my great great uncle right there. So it was, my granddad.
Have you written a song about it yet, Spencer?
I've not, but I totally should. I need to learn more of the exact history of it. But um, there's the one movie that's got Shia LaBeouf in it, and is it Tom Hardy, I think?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what is that called? Yeah.
Come on, Shay.
Um.
This is your.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. You know what? You're just gonna hear my.
He's gonna Google it.
Yeah. I have
This is
to.
what happens.
That's.
This
There's
is
no
why
way
we
I
need.
can't.
This is why we need. Who's Jamie? We need Jamie from Joe
Yes. We
Rogan.
need a.
Jamie, pull up. Blah blah blah.
Is it? No, that was
Think
2013.
faster.
It's. I
So,
So what
can't.
happens in the movie, Spencer?
well, I'm not. I did see it. I saw it a
Oh,
little while
oh,
ago, but
oh! You're just trying
loosely
to say
based.
that is what it was solely, slightly based off of.
Yeah, yeah, it's loosely based off of.
Lawless.
Yeah,
Lawless.
off of I guess it was my granddad's uncle or my granddad's something like that, but very close relation is the point. And
That's
I just
wild.
think that's super cool. I was like, man, we can
Yeah,
feel
that's
pretty
fun to
good about
lean
that.
into, right? Because you don't have a lot
Outlaw.
about that.
No,
But
yeah, you don't.
so then with the history and like them singing and harmonizing, right? And going back to the Folsom Prison song, the first
Yeah.
video, because like not only are you playing great guitar, but your voice. And then I know Connor's in that video, but you had a third person in. Is that your other brother as well?
No, that was actually one of my best friends. His name is Jack Van Orden, and he and I grew up playing music together. Me and him were like the only two young people, it seemed like, at that time that was, instead of at football games on Friday night, me and him were sitting in a room where the average age was literally probably 70 or 80 years old. And we were jamming bluegrass music on Friday nights at 13, 14, 15 years old. That for like 3 years, every Friday night was spent in a jam session with my buddy Jack. So uh, me, Connor, and Jack all grew up just playing music doing bluegrass, and
So,
it
so
was
you
awesome.
had to have known before then that that Folsom song was a hit in these crowds, right? Before you finally like videotaped it and threw it out there, because I'm sure that's not the first time you had played it.
No, it wasn't. I'd started playing it actually. Like I was talking about, I'd been in bluegrass music for so long at that point, and especially during college, while I was in four bluegrass band, one of them was a professional touring bluegrass band with a record deal and everything. I was dreaming about country music still, and I was like, how do I do that? How do I get into country? Like I would get off from a show playing bluegrass, and I go home and pick up the guitar and teach myself to play the guitar like Luther Perkins. And I was 19 years old before I ever picked up a guitar. I didn't play it until my senior year, right after senior year in high school. And I just always dreamed about country music. And so we had a couple of shows that summer after my senior year. And I had told my dad and Connor, I said, I know this isn't really what we do, but I'd like to play some Johnny Cash. Because I'd watched Walk the Line, the Joaquin
Yes.
Phoenix Johnny Cash movie. And I'd already seen it before, two, three times. And I just, something about that time, I was like, I want that so bad. I want to be in country music. I know I can do it. And that was just my dream. It just instantly became my dream. So I started teaching myself to play the guitar. And Luther Perkins' style isn't that hard, but it was just something, yet again, when I take a big interest in something, I totally enamor everything around me in that one thing. I dive in 100% and I obsess over it basically. And so
Yeah,
I
but
just
you're
started,
going from being a flame throwing banjo picker to now picking up the guitar, and it's a completely different style.
it's totally different. Nothing was, uh, it seemed to me like nothing was compatible. I mean, all of the chords are different. You got to learn to strum, which seems easy until you suddenly realize that strumming is not that easy when you've never done it before. It's like, well, this is just kind of awkward. This is weird. I don't normally do this with my hand. So, um, yeah, I just started teaching myself though, and I just really, really got absorbed with country music. But Johnny Cash was kind of like that thing that really kicked it off. And so I told my dad and Connor I wanted to try playing Johnny Cash at some of the bluegrass shows. And we had a couple of bigger shows coming up. He would play for like 150 people or something at a festival. And I was like, this is nerve-wracking, but I really want to play Johnny Cash and just see how it went over. And of course, everybody knows Folsom Prison, and it would
Hmm.
always go over great. And it was like my first feeling of this is what country music is. Like, this is what it
What you were
feels like.
chasing.
Yeah, this is
Yep.
what I really wanted. And it was my very first taste of that. And so but then I went to college and I didn't really play any more country music except for in my dorm room by myself. Um, but I was studying country music and I was listening to country music and diving in hardcore during my college years. And then once COVID hit, I graduated college, COVID hit, and I decided to get out of the bluegrass band. Still love bluegrass, of course. But I got out of the bluegrass band. I packed up my stuff from East Tennessee and I moved back home because COVID was shutting down Walmarts. No jobs were open. And this was March of 2020. So I was like, I'm going to go back home and I'm going to do whatever I can to just pursue country music while there's nothing else to do. And that was when I filmed a couple of different takes of me singing some different songs and thinking, do I post it? Do I risk putting myself out there to get, torn down in the comments, or is it going to go good? I didn't know. But I did the only thing I thought I could, and I turned on the camera and I sang a song, and it wound up being my very first post was April 2nd of 2020. So it'd taken me like 2 weeks after I got home to work up the nerve to finally post a video. And April 2nd of 2020 was the first video, and it was Honky Tonk Angel by Conway Twitty. And
Oh,
loved it.
yes.
Loved that song. I'd been listening to it a lot then, and I got, I didn't get shredded in the comments, much to my surprise. I'd never really been told before that I could sing well, like, and I still don't think that I sing as great as I would like to or anything like that, but it was at that moment where I'd put myself out in a position to where people could offer their opinion of my voice for the first time because I'd never done that before. And
It was a virtual stage.
it was. And people are brutally honest. They
Oh,
are so
you don't,
Yes, yeah.
Spencer. You do not need to tell us.
I knew that's what he was gonna say. He's like, oh
the
man.
viewers
Yeah.
maybe don't. But
Yeah.
Lord, I was worried about that to an extent, but I was also like, I mean, Walmarts aren't open, so it can't be that bad. Like, I don't mind posting a video. If I gotta take it down, I'll take it down, something like that. But no, it was pretty good. It probably did like 200 views too, and I was thinking it'd get like 30 and like 3 likes, but it did like 200 views. I was like, man, it's pretty good. I was like, maybe I'll do another one. And I did another one. And then after that second video, I think I said, if I could just, I always set goals. I set lots of goals in my life and I do everything I can to achieve them. My first goal I set was after like the second video. I was like, man, I'd like to just get 1,000 views in 24 hours. I was like, that would be insane. And by the fourth video, I was so close. It was like 950 views. I remember I was walking in Walmart and I was approaching the 24-hour mark and I was at like 900 views. And then 24 hours came and it was like 950. I was like, dang it. So I'll get on this next one. The next one was Folsom Prison. And it was my
Oh,
fifth
wow.
video I'd ever posted. And it was number 5. Um, and it did 1.5 million views in 24 hours. And it was
It's
the
just
most
wow.
incredible thing that I had
Talk
ever
about a
seen.
stretch goal. Wow.
Yeah, we blew that goal out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Um, and the night, I'll give you the whole, if you want to hear that whole story, what it was like when it started. It was insane. I mean, to me,
Of course we do, Spencer. That's why all we have is time here on What's the
yeah.
Reason for
Well,
This.
so I was really I get really proud about certain songs and certain videos that I feel like I work hard on. And that was one where it was actually my first where I'd had more than just me or Connor in it. Most of them had just been me. There was a video with me and Connor, and then this one had my buddy Jack, and I felt good about the production. We worked on that song for probably 2 or 3 hours that evening. We were just jamming, but I was like, hey, I've started filming videos. I'd like to film this thing, and everybody was down for it. So feeling really good about it. And I posted it that evening, and um, I remember I went and I almost didn't post on TikTok too because I was posting mainly on Facebook because that was my community, lots of local followers, people that I know, of course. So I
Yep.
almost didn't post it on TikTok. I posted on Facebook, and then it was probably 7 o'clock that evening. I was like, oh, I forgot about TikTok. So I went ahead and posted it. Normally I posted about 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. That was just the time I'd set. And so I posted it, and I remember I went for a swim. We have a pool, and so I got in the pool. It was summertime, like I say, it was July 14th is what it was of 2020, July 14th. Um, and I got in the pool to go swimming, probably swam for an hour, and I just start hearing my phone go off. And I was like, well, somebody's calling me or somebody's texting me a bunch. Maybe there's a problem. I look at my phone and the whole screen, you swipe up and it's just
Just TikTok.
hundreds and hundreds of notifications. Facebook and TikTok, hundreds. So and so commented, so and so liked, so and so commented, so and so liked. You have 500 new followers. I was like, hold up a minute. So I open up this thing. Well, then I look and it says like 8,000 new followers in the instant icon pop up. It says like 15,000 new likes and 1,000 comments. It's been an hour. I got in
That's
the
wild.
pool. I had 24 followers on TikTok. I got into the pool and I get out and I'm at like 8,000 followers in an hour. I was like, dude, what is happening? It was like a dream. I can't explain to you how bad I wanted that. I wanted so badly to just be able to do music for a living and have people just appreciate my music. That's what it's always been about. I search for nothing more than people to just love and appreciate my music and what matters to me. I don't put things out that don't matter to me. I want people to just um, love and appreciate the music and like my stuff like they do, like I do all my heroes. So this thing starts blowing up. And I was like, dude, this is crazy. This is amazing. This is everything I've always wanted. And I was like, wait, I've got so much stuff I've got to do. I was like, I've got this terrible looking profile photo. First of all, it was like me with a magnifying glass up to my eyeballs. I remember it. So my eyes were huge, and I have like 10,000 new people that are seeing this thing. I was like, no, I gotta take a picture with me and with my guitar or something. So I upload a new profile. I was like, I've got to link my accounts. I want people to go to my Instagram. I want people to see all this other stuff. So I just go full business mode all of a sudden. And I'm just doing all this, trying to just get stuff in order because it was not something you ever planned for, really. And I remember just swiping. I would just refresh every refresh, 100 new followers, 200 new likes, refresh, 300 new followers, 400 new likes. I mean, it was wild. And
Yep.
basically, I say that evening when I posted that video, I had 24 followers. When I woke up that next morning, I had just over 10,000 followers. And it was the start of the social media journey, I guess you could say. And the second video that I posted, I took some time. I actually took like a day and a half to post again because I wanted it to count. To me, it mattered what the second follow-up post would be. So I just remembered that I'd watched the documentary on Garth Brooks, and he'd done the same thing with If Tomorrow Never Comes. He said, well, it was all about the second song. What's going to follow it? Are you going to be a one-hit wonder, or are you going to be, is it going to follow up and it's going to match up to the first one? So I did the same thing as Garth Brooks. I put out Friends in Low Places. It blows up. I've got two videos at the same time, like blowing up. I was like, dude, this is insane. And that was kind of how it went. So from then on, I had some support on social media, and I just kept doing what I wanted. I kept staying true to myself. I never really got into being someone that's not me. That was never something that I wanted to do. I didn't want to ever have to put a mask on when I turned the camera on either. It was like, this is Spencer. If you like him, follow him. If you don't, it's all right. It's not like I care, And
Well,
so,
Shay and I have cracked up over a lot of your social media posts. So
Man,
and that's why
that's yeah.
I
That I
always tell
remember.
people.
That's. I'm just going to cut you off, Cody, because that's what you tell me to do. When we first started trying to set up this interview, and he's like, "Hey, we want to talk to this guy and talk about his music." And I recognized your name, and I was like, "Where do I know this name from? I've seen this guy somewhere before." And I'll tell you what, actually, the first video I ever saw of yours, and I told Cody I have to bring this up. It's that video of you on a dirt bike with your dog in your lap,
oh
and
yeah.
you're just going down a road in a farmland somewhere in the sunset, and there's this like little blurb about how that's your ride or die. She's always there, and that's what always stands out to me because like everything on your social media has that kind of presence. It's so nice. And I also want to say I identify with you when you talk about people making fun of the way you say oil because
Yeah.
I'm from West Virginia and people will say Shay, it's oil, not Earl, and I'm like, listen, don't you tell me
Well,
how to do my thing. That resonates with me. I really appreciate that. That everything you've put up like that is just so fun to watch.
yeah, well,
But I always tell.
yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. All right. Well,
Well,
what I always tell people is like you are your brand, right? Yeah. No,
Yeah.
this is just gonna happen. You are your brand, and so like what we loved about you was like you're genuine, right? Like you can't fake that persona that you have on your social media, which is really fun, and it allows people to connect with you, right? And I always tell people that I feel like I've won when people come up and they say I feel like I already know,
yeah,
and so
well,
like I feel like for you, Spencer, that's got to happen a lot, right? Where people have this like connection through your socials.
yeah, I think for sure. But I mean, that was always a goal of mine too. Like, I didn't ever want people to be like, "Oh, he is nothing like he portrays himself to be." And I've said that since the beginning. What you see on camera is like what you get off camera. Um, I'm very kind of cut and dry. You can tell what I'm thinking. I'm really friendly. It's like you can come up and talk to me. I'll have a conversation with you. It's not like I'm on some like huge uh, fame level or anything like that, but there are still those people, the followers that'll recognize me and they'll come up and yeah, well, I'm no different than you. I just grew up in a country and I like turning on a camera and singing some songs. Like that's all that there is to me, and I'm simple and I love just being me. That was very important to me. Always will be. I want to be me. And if you don't like me, then that's okay. It's like, don't follow me. Don't come to the shows. That's fine. But to those that do like me and appreciate the music, then come on out. I'll be everybody's friend. you know? It's not like, I think that's something that really bothers me too, is when you get into some of the celebrities, you start seeing egos and they stop appreciating their fans and stuff. And I just, it always clicked to me, without fans, without support, I am nothing. I don't have a
For sure.
job. I'm not doing what I love. So fans are number one for me. If I've got time, I'm talking to them. I'm shaking every hand in the audience. There is not a person I will turn down for an autograph or a picture or handshake. It has been number one priority for me at every single show that I've done over the last 5 years, which is over 500 shows. We've played an ungodly amount of shows, and that was a big thing for me that came from social media was my performing career that I was able to build over the last 5 years, and this was all before Nashville, too. Just last year
And
we
so
did over.
that's what I was going to ask, Spencer, is how long was it between Folsom Prison and your first country show? And I think it was at a pizza shop, right?
It was, yes,
And
sir.
I know in previous interviews you've talked about being like, oh man, I needed to fill 3 hours. I had 2 weeks to figure out 20 songs. How did that come about? You're like, okay, this is happening. The viral video happened. When did you book that show? How much time was in between some of that stuff?
3 weeks.
Yeah, so
First off,
Jesus.
it was go.
God, that's such a
it
turnaround.
was. It was insane. I had no shows. We were not even a country band yet. Connor was still in college, pursuing his own career. Um, July 14th was when I posted the video. August 7th was the first show.
Wow.
And I did not have enough material for 3 hours. I just, like I said, I knew country music. It wasn't like it was a new thing for me, but I started learning country music. You can have known a song for 10 years, and then when you have to perform it in front of people, you realize, I don't know all the words to this song. And I've been humming it, I've been singing along to it for a long time. But when you have to perform, those words don't come so easily anymore. And so I spent hours and hours and hours every single day trying to learn enough songs for this show. It was August 7th. It was in a small pizza shop about 30 minutes from my hometown. The guy called me up. He's like, hey, saw your video. This is awesome. You should come out to my business. He's like, we can't promote it because it's COVID. He's like, so don't tell anybody about it. But he's like, tell your friends, you can like tell them come out, but we're not going to put it out on social media. It can't be on the radio, anything like that. And I was like, well, that's fine. Yeah, I'll come out and do it. He's like, but I want 3 hours. I was like, there's no way. I was like, there's no way. He's like, well, just get as close to 2 hours as you can. He's like, take a break in between. I want you there for 2 hours. I was like, okay, I can probably do that. I really had my doubts because I knew only a couple of songs. So my first set list, which I still have in my office at my house in Virginia, I have that kind of decorated with old set lists, original posters from my bluegrass days of the Hatcher Boys performing, original posters from the early country music shows and achievements and stuff like that. I have framed our very first August 7th set list. And it's crazy to look at because it was anything I could sing to eat up 2 hours. I didn't have a catered show to country music yet. So we were doing bluegrass, of course. That's never changed. I'll always still keep bluegrass in my shows. So still today, I play bluegrass every single show. It's something that's important to me. It's something I still love doing.
You pull out the banjo?
Every show.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yes.
Every
And for
show.
those that don't know, he is an absolute flamethrower on that thing.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
we'll get back. This is about the country. So,
Well, and
so
Connor still pulls out the upright bass. And if y'all go check out the social media, the dude slaps that bass. He's
oh,
insane.
you don't need to tell us, man. We've been gushing over your guys' socials, and we're like, well, no, we need to promote what they're doing now. Like we just had the 3-pack with the cold beer and common sense, right? Like we have all these things that were coming out. We want to help Spencer, but in the meantime, Shay and I are like fanboying, like, oh my god, did you hear this? Like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and it's like, yeah, I'm a country artist and a country act, but I'm so proud of being from bluegrass. I love bluegrass. I'm in the gym every day. I've got Tony
Yeah, we
Rice's
can
Bluegrass
tell,
album
Spencer. We've
cranked.
seen the photos. Okay, settle down over there. We know.
Well, it's like, most people are listening to like, I don't know, dubstep or like rap or something to get them pumped up. I got Bluegrass Album Band cranked up to 10 in my ears, and Tony Rice is coming in on the break. And I'm hitting PRs here because that's what still gets me
Yes,
going. I just
that
love
flat picking
bluegrass.
sensation. You're like,
Oh
let's
my
go.
gosh.
Yes.
Yes, that's what gets me going. And I love bluegrass. So I'll always keep bluegrass. I'm proud of bluegrass. And it's still very, very much part of my life. I just was also to also incorporate country music. So
For sure. So, how do you feel like it has helped you kind of evolve and like start writing your own songs, writing some of these country music songs, learning tablature and chords, like as you're getting more confident? Because obviously now you're years into, and I've seen your guitar playing. It's great, right? So, like, you've obviously picked things up.
I have, yeah, for sure. I think each year it gets easier. But of course, it comes with an immense amount of practice and, studying and just being in the industry. But as far as songwriting goes, the songs that I've wrote are all um, they're all tied into me in one way or another. One of the biggest things for songwriting, in my opinion, is relatability. And I think that if you're singing about things that you can't relate to, then how do you expect your audience to relate to it if you've not been through it? And most everything that I sing, record, or write is stuff that I can relate to or I have lived in some fashion or another. So that's a really big important part. I think that just going through life and learning. Tab doesn't really help that much. I don't use Tab at all anymore. It was just a skill that I kind of had to pick up in college.
So, you're literally
But
doing it all by ear.
yeah, and I think that's wildly important because you've never
Yeah,
once seen a bluegrass band with sheet music up on stage. I don't think it'd look right. And personally, I don't think it'd look right for country music either. That being said, there is the Nashville number system. Most guys do have some charts or something on stage. But
yeah.
as a band, no, I really don't want I don't want anybody to have to rely on a piece of paper to play a song that we've spent so much time recording and maybe writing and practicing. I want you to be able to get up there. My shows are raw. You could call it talent, I guess, but it's raw music. What I do in the studio is replicable on stage, and that's how I always want it. There is no computers in my music. There is no bass loops or synthesizers or anything like that. This is real country music, just like bluegrass, and that's where that comes from. That's where my bluegrass roots really ties into my country roots is there's no faking bluegrass. Either you play bluegrass or you don't play bluegrass, and that's how I want it to be for country music too. I want my guys that are up on stage with me to be, I just want there to be talent there. I want you to be playing real music. It won't necessarily be played the same exact way every single time. That's how it is in bluegrass. That's how Bill Monroe did it. Jimmy Martin, all these guys, the greatest to ever be in music, period. Jimmy Martin is one of those guys that you could, kind of argue about that, but just raw talent. You're not going to get the same show every single time. That's how it is for Spencer Hatcher. I want each show to be different. I want it to be exciting. You'll hear a lot of the same songs, but, we're not playing with tracks or anything like that. It could vary. I might mess up the words. I might switch the verses around. That is part of the excitement of
No
being a
way,
true.
you're an actual human being performing music. Who would have thunk,
Yes,
right?
right,
But that's
right.
what's wild is like people have made it like so plastic and so fake, and they forget about like that raw genuineness that comes with it. And it's cool to hear you doing that, and then knowing that like your songs need to be relatable, right? And it's like, okay, I always tell people like lyrics matter, right? And for me, like storytelling and obviously in country music, there's a lot of that. So for you to be able to find the stories that you're dealing with, so we won't make you name names, but there are a lot of ladies that we need to thank for the inspiration of some of these songs behind Spencer Hatcher.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
yeah, we probably won't drop names, but yeah, for sure.
But it's real, right? Like your heartbreak, or even this new song that you have dropping on the 25th today. There's emotion in it, right? Like you can feel it, but the harmony and like wanting to sing along, but you also make us feel something. And like this isn't good, right? So like the new single is called When She Calls Me Cowboy, correct?
Yes, sir.
Right? And like I love it because I gave Shay a hard time. I was like, "Oh, remember when she told him to let his hair down? Can you do that?"
It's a lifestyle choice, bro. Listen.
But it was great because like we were able to listen to it before you guys had actually released it, and we spent some time and obviously going back listening to all your stuff. When you said that, it makes so much sense, right? Like your focus is to make it relatable. There are so many people that can listen to these songs, and especially this song, right? And what's great is like, yes, we're listening it from the male perspective, but like my wife could listen to that song and think about from her side, right, of the story that you tell in that.
Yeah, relatability, like I said, to me is number one. You can have a good song, but if no one can relate to it, to me, I just don't, it's just not my thing. I think that you should just be relatable. I mean, there are certain songs I've listened to I can't relate to in any way, of course, but I think that the way that you have a real hit, the biggest hits in the world, is because people can relate to it. People can turn it on and be like, I know what that's like, whether that's a love or heartbreak. Here's a good example. One of the neatest experiences for me was when I released back last October my 3 song EP. Um, and one of these songs in particular was Has Anybody Ever? Now, this was not the first time, but I just got a lot of messages of people saying, and has anybody ever, if you've not listened to it, go listen to it. But it's a love song about, well, to me it's kind of a love song. You can interpret it how you want, and that's the other cool thing, is can you put out a song that can be interpreted a number of different ways so that it's relatable to a person. And that song is one of those songs. But in the sense of love, this one particular person messaged me and said, hey, I want you to know, has anybody ever, I've listened to it like 5 times, I've got tears in my eyes because I have been loved like that. I did have that person in my life, and it's not who I married. And it's like, whoa. I mean, that one just hit me.
And then she
That's
ends
yeah.
up on a jumbotron at a Coldplay concert.
Right. Yeah. It's that kind
Yeah.
of thing, but it's insane because with that story in particular, still today, that person says that's their favorite song because they can just relate to it. Now, they love all the songs like Cold Beer Common Sense. I hope everybody can agree with that song because it's about believing that everybody needs to get along. Very relatable. I hope everybody thinks that everybody should love each other and get along because if you don't think that, probably a
You're
problem
part of the
there.
problem. Yep,
Right.
exactly.
So, and that song, it didn't get a lot of hate by any means, but there were certain people that were like, well, I don't think that this is right. It's like, you don't think that everybody should be able to sit at a table and get along. And then, of course, an argument breaks out, and it's like, I'll let my fans take care of that because they get in the comment section, people start arguing. It'll be like
Oh
100
man,
comments underneath one about just an argument. But, anyways, yes, I think relatability is to me the most important thing aside from just writing the song well and having a good tune. But if people can relate to it and you've got those 3 things, good words, relatability, and a good tune, while it might not be a hit, it's a song that will always be listened to, and it's one that most people will really like because they can understand it.
yeah, and Shay and I both are like, man, it has that sound, right? Like you hear it and you're like, okay, yes, this is a very good song. And what's fun is like I know that you have more things coming, right? So you guys shot, you've been teasing us on social media about a music video, right? And is it for this song?
It is, yeah. Very,
Yes.
very excited. Uh, very excited for this music video. It is the most professional production I've been part of so far. And it's kind of like a movie. And I can't wait for everybody to get to see it, all the viewers, you all. Um, but it's going to be related to this
How
song.
was it? How was it? Because like you've made hundreds of social media videos, right? And like
Yeah.
you've even for people that don't know, he even had a video that went viral. You were hired by Mountain Dew. We'll link to all these fun stuff so that you can go see more about it. But what was it like for you to like? Because that's a big switch to flip, right? From going to like tripods and cameras to like big boy cameras, scripts, full time editors. What was that like for you?
Well, I can tell you this right off the bat. I'm very thankful that I did do hundreds of videos before I ever got in front of a crew and a professional camera because it made it way more natural. Sometimes I get a little awkward in front of a camera. I'm like, it's kind of like Ricky Bobby. It's like, what do I do with my hands here? And they tell me, they're like, well, let's put a guitar on you so you got something to do with your hands. But thankfully, I'd done a couple hundred videos and I'd done some videos where it was a little awkward for me to film. Like it wasn't necessarily just a singing video. It's like some of those skits that I do. And I really
Yeah.
like doing the skits. But sometimes they're awkward to film. Thankfully, I had that going into some of these professional things. The first professional thing I really did was the Mountain Dew commercial for sure. They hired a guy out of New
Yeah.
York that had done music videos for Carrie Underwood, uh, Marilyn Manson, and
Oh
which
wow.
is huge.
All
He'll
over
do
the
anything.
spectrum. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
he'll do anything. So that was big time for me. They're like, hey, we're going to send him down to your farm and he'll be here this day and you all are going to shoot the music video. They sent me to a recording studio in Charlottesville and me and Connor cut the song in there. And that was a song that I'd worked with like one of the producers over at Sony Entertainment. He and I, for the first time, sat down. And here I am, like 23 years old or something, and I'm writing a Mountain Dew commercial with a producer from Sony Entertainment, and I'm about to get filmed by the same dude that's doing stuff for Carrie Underwood and Marilyn Manson. Um, and it was just overwhelming. It was outstanding. I was wildly excited for it. But when those cameras went on, I was just like, okay, this is just my phone on a tripod. That's how I'm going to do it. But most of these people, too, they make it pretty easy. It's not like, all right, Spencer, we're rolling and improv. It's usually not that. It's kind of like, here's what we're looking for. Here's what we want to do. If we don't like it, we'll trash it. We'll take a look at what looks good and we'll go back and do it. So started doing that stuff with Mountain Dew commercial. That was like my first introduction. And then, of course, coming on with Stone Country Records down here in Nashville. I'm getting a lot of experience in front of many people behind a camera and me out front with a light in my face. I don't think it's ever gonna be like a breeze or maybe like totally natural because it's just a little bit unnatural. You kind of feel like you got the camera on you. But
See, and this is where you are talking to Shay 1,000%, and then he hates me because I told him, I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter if it's one person or 10,000. I am literally going to be the same person no matter what. I have no issues.
yes.
I'm the king of one takes, and he's like, God dang it, Cody, like we need to plan. You need to, and I'm like, no, man, like let's just go. And he's like, I can't do it like that, and I'm like, that's all I live and die by.
Yeah, it
I'm
drives me
literally just by
nuts.
the seat of my pants.
Oh man, and it's one of those things where you talk about getting in front of a camera is kind of awkward. Like a lot of people are surprised when they meet me in person to find out like what we're doing right now, this is fine. But then as soon as it gets out there, I'm just really uncomfortable with putting myself out there to large anonymous groups of people like the internet. That's like where you're talking about posting those first videos. You're like, I know what the internet's like. Like I know how bad this could get. If I'm and I'm always worried about deluding myself into thinking I'm doing a good job and then finding out in the comments. Like I don't even read the comments. I barely pay attention to it. Drives Cody nuts. But when you bring a camera into it, it's different. This is more comfortable because I'm in my office, whatever. But like if I'm just if we're just chuckle nutting around at the bar or at a show and it's like kind of improv or you're just riff, just having fun, I can do that all day, even in front of a group of people. Don't have a problem with it. As soon as you get some sort of like, no, this is what we need to do. This is what you're supposed to say. This is the script. This is the goal. Totally ruins it for me, and I can't do anything correctly, and I get in my own head. And then Cody's just over there. You have to shut up and say the line.
And you know
Yeah,
what? When he gets out of his head, it works, right?
Yeah.
it's true. Yeah, when you get inside your head, it's like game over. But I'm very similar in the respect of if there's a script, just count on a couple takes
Yeah.
because if they need me to say a certain line, I can do it. And normally it's like it's fine. But what's better is, hey Spencer, here is an overview of what we once said. We're gonna cut the camera on and you go ahead and just improv it. I actually do pretty good. I'm not a huge
I'm much more
fan.
comfortable that way as well.
Yeah, I mean improv is I usually excel at improv depending on the scenario. Typically, like I was saying earlier, the producers are like, it's not going to just be, okay, just go. Just come up with something good to say. It's still like, here's kind of what we're wanting, but you do it your way. I can usually do that pretty good. But if there's a script and I know that it's being recorded and you can go back and redo it, that's when I tend to just mess up. But if it's like live on air stuff, local stations, I usually seem to like kill it for the most part. I do pretty good, and I'm like, "Oh, I feel pretty good about that." But for whatever reason, it's whenever that like red recording light is on, and you can go back and you know that you can have another take. It's like all of a sudden I can't talk. I
Yes,
can't hear.
yes, yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of
Yeah,
how
that's rough too. And then you're thinking like, okay, well let me watch that last take. And if you're doing that and you find stuff you don't like, the way you've
You
enunciated a
guys are too
word or
hypercritical,
yeah,
man.
or like, I'm
I
not
just black out. It's done,
yeah,
right?
dude, Cody
yeah.
couldn't tell you a single thing he said once he's done, and I love that about him.
No clue. No, it just happens, right? And it's like, oh, well, that's why
Yeah.
I said, and you talk about like being genuine. I always tell people, like, I am genuine to a fault, right? Like, there's no filter. When we were talking to some of your management team, they're like, Cody, okay, like, chill, bud. Uh, but that's where it's like for me, I say no, man. I'm unapologetically myself because then when people meet you and then they see it, they're like, hey, that's him. And so I feel like for you, Spencer, it's like you don't want to be that fake plastic version on camera and then they meet something different, right? So you're just trying to make it all real and you're trying to have all this stuff coincide and work together. When you guys were filming the music video, were you a big part of like the storyboard? Did you have a vision of what you wanted or how did that kind of work?
Well, I definitely had a vision of what I wanted, and I'm very critical of myself, very, very particular with everything that I do, especially on screen. And I think that came from the years of social media and being forced to look back at what I do. And if I didn't like one thing, if I didn't like a way that I would look or smile, I would redo an entire song that was done perfectly fine because I didn't like how I looked. And that's just being a perfectionist. And I think that it's a good thing for sure.
But
Because
that's
if you
also
didn't
what
care,
drives you to your level of success, right? Is because you're like, nope, this isn't good enough. This isn't what I want. I'm holding myself to a higher standard. This is what you know what you're capable.
yeah, I'll say that's something that I've said for a long time, and I have cast out to my team, the people that I work with. I can't stand when someone says, that's good enough. It's like, then it's not. If it's good enough, it's not good enough for me. It's either it's right or it isn't. And that's just how I've always been. Um, but I think that, again, I think that's a great thing. I think that the people that tend to do really well, not saying that I have, but the people that tend to probably have that mindset that it's not good enough and we can do better. What can you do better as a team? I mean, that's literally like every drawing board ever. Okay, this went well, this didn't. What can we do that's better? So that's kind of how I take everything with everything that I do. And in this particular instance with the music video, we had hired on a phenomenal film crew that came in. It was like a movie. I was looking back at the film, and after the scenes, I would tell them, I was like, "Look, I really care about how I look on camera, and I know that I can do better. So if you don't mind, I'd like to see some of the replays of the scenes." Guy's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I want you to be happy with what we're doing here." And he said, "If we can make it better for you, that's what we want to do." I was like, "This guy is amazing." This entire crew, the team, they had the script, they had the idea in their head of what they wanted. Of course, they passed it through me to be approved. I love that. It wasn't like, okay, Spencer, this is what you're going to do. They're like, here's what we want. What do you think? That's how I need my business to be. I've always been involved. I've always been in control. And so for me to give up all control, I just can't do. But to be included in everything, it's phenomenal. And my team down here in Nashville has always done that. Nobody's ever tried to like strip my opinion of things away from me. And quite honestly, because if that happened, it just simply wouldn't do. I cannot function. I cannot do work where my opinion is not heard.
Well, and it's good
So
to hear that they're embracing your voice because oftentimes you can see, I mean, even as fans, you watch musicians or acts that then quote unquote like I don't want to I'm gonna say it sell out, right? And then they lose their vision of who they were originally and they lose what they had, right? Because you're on this upward trajectory where you just continue to grow, and that's because of where you came from. And so you don't want to impede that. You want people to embrace your voice and to lift you up and continue to propel you and help you in that, rather than silence some of it and say, no, you need to be doing it this way. And you're like, well, wait, what I've been doing has been working.
Right. Yes, sir. Well, I think it kind of goes back to the whole thing. Nobody knows your business better than you. And kind of in particular in this instance with me, it's like if I it's not like it's this way, but I have had to tell people before, people I've worked with in the past that are no longer working with me, if you think that you can do a better job than me, by all means, show me. And then suddenly it's like they don't want to do that work anymore. They make all these big promises coming out and they're wanting like this, maybe payment up front or something like that. It's like, that's fine. But give me a preview of the work that you're going to do first. And if we start to see some good things, 100%, we'll lock it in with a contract or something like that. But then they can't do it.
Well, yeah,
I
the
think,
proof is in the pudding, and that's where it's so wild because there's so much cotton candy in this world, right? And especially in the industry, right? Of people talking this big game or what they can provide or what they do, and then you eat it and there's nothing there and it like disappears, and you're like, wait, what is this nonsense? And sometimes like I'd rather chew on a raw piece of meat and know what I'm eating than somebody give me some bull crap and say, hey, just swallow this, right?
right. Well, and there is no ego or arrogance behind this statement at all. But here's kind of like the bottom line for me. The last 5 years, I did every single thing on my own. I used my own judgment. I had people help me at my request. I brought my dad on to help me with some of the contracts, to help with some of the show bookings because there were so many emails coming in. We did 500 shows in 4.5 years. I mean, it's like unheard of. We were doing 150 shows
And
2020.
didn't you break your back at some point, or have you
Well,
fell off of a roof off a chimney,
I
and
did,
that
yeah.
put you down for a while? And then of course you're like, nope, that's not going to stop me either. I'm just going to keep going. Like it, Spencer, your story is wild, but there's
Well,
so much there, and obviously the perseverance is what continues to have you thrive and be successful.
that's the thing. I have no quit. There's nothing in me that wants to do anything more than just work. I love working. I went to college and I graduated with a bachelor's degree in business. And I did that in under 4 years and I graduated with honors because I really cared about school. I love business. And that's the one thing about me that maybe sets me a little bit apart. Not all musicians care about the business part. They want to play music and that's what they want to do and they'll hire on whoever they need to do the business. Me, I want to be in the business. I love the business stuff. I love the contracts. I love negotiating. Absolutely love negotiating with venues, coming up with new deals. I love everything about business. I was doing marketing. I was doing the contracts. I was having the meetings. I was, creating the set lists, learning the songs, every single aspect that is like 8 full-time jobs I was doing. And I would work. People were like, "Oh, well, you sing songs. Your songs are your life is so easy." I'm like, "Well, what you see is the 3 hour show, and
Yeah.
that's it. You didn't see the 3 hours that I showed up before, or the 2 hours that I stayed up or stayed after, just loading and packing up, and then the 50,000 hours that I've put in over the last 4 years. Like you've just not seen it. I work 70 hours a week, 7 days a week. It's like it's this immense amount of time for any business owner that cares. I don't look at this as just a backyard garage band. That's not what it is. To me, this is a business. In 2021, I created a company so that I could run things through LLC. And I just wanted this thing to be pro and to do this thing as professional as possible. And that's why over the years I've had issues bringing other people in, outsiders in that don't know my business, that claim that they can do my business better than me.
But it seems like you've really found a great team. I know that earlier this week you had announced an international management company that was brought on as well to help you. And oh God, I can't. Of course, I can't remember the name. Who was the management company that you guys released on Monday?
The William Morris Endeavor,
Yes,
WME.
yes, yes. WME. which is huge, right? Because you're already working with a big time group out of Nashville. You moved to Nashville from Virginia. Now you're having an international management company. It sounds like they're bringing in crews and people that are listening to you that are finally giving you a bigger voice, right? And so this is only the beginning for Spencer Hatcher. And so we have the new single coming out. Do you have any up? I mean, you tour constantly. So where can we find your tour dates? Where can we go? Obviously, plug the TikTok, the Instagram, all the stuff. Where is it that we can send people to follow the story and continue to watch your trajectory upwards, Spencer?
Yeah, I would just say follow me on social media. I'm very active on social media. You look up Spencer Hatcher and I should pop up. And that's the great thing about the new team, the record deal that I signed. Uh, Number one, if I didn't believe in every single one of these people, I wouldn't have signed with them. And also the other way around, if they didn't believe in me, they wouldn't have offered me the record deal. Uh, it is the best record label in all of Nashville, in my opinion. I mean, they're just phenomenal people. Uh, I like that they're Christian too. You know, it's not like something that I've got to be tiptoeing around where it seems like you have to do that a lot. You got to tiptoe anymore. I don't have to do that with these guys. They 100% believe in me. I believe in them. And what they told me was, we are not trying to change you. We will not change you. We just want to take the Spencer that's right here and put him as high as we possibly can, and you will be involved in every single step along the way. And that's been true this entire time. So it's been absolutely phenomenal. The people that I work with love them all. It's like one big family. So now I've got a marketing team and I've got a booking agency I just signed on with, WME. All these things are the biggest blessings of my life. And um, I'm just very, very thankful to be in the position that I'm in now. And yeah, so you can follow my story and everything that I'm doing just online, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I do have a website, spencerhatchermusic.com. Um, and yeah, everything stays updated there. And we're looking at booking a tour, like a legitimate tour pretty soon. I'm very, very excited for that. And we got a lot of really big things coming. I want everybody to stay updated with it. So yeah, just follow me, look up Spencer Hatcher, and just follow the journey.
And show up in your authentic ostrich boots when you go see him live.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Gotta do some new boot goofing, boys, or even living if you're not new boot goofing.
Right.
Well, we can't thank you enough, Spencer. Thank you for your time. You guys, we'll have it in our description. Like he said, it won't take you long to follow it. Fall down the rabbit hole. He has a bunch of amazing videos. Go comment, share it, talk to him. Stay tuned for when he hits a city near you, and you will see more of us next week.
Have a good one, guys.
Cody and Shay, thank you all so much.
Well, thank you, man.